The grand total for the Georgia election interference case has finally been tallied, and it's a staggering $17 million.
Is it true that part of your transition team was involved in the process of interviewing people before you entered office to lead the investigation into the 2020 presidential election?
I'd like to answer that.
Go right ahead. You only take my advice sometimes. Anyway, go ahead.
That's really an ignorant question. And if you understand what the word ignorant means, it means the lack of knowledge. If you recall the facts, I was already district attorney when this all came to light. So it's factually impossible.
Today, we are auditing a high-stakes legal battle over who is left holding the bag. Fani Willis is headed back to the Georgia Court of Appeals, desperately seeking to block a massive payout to Donald Trump and his co-defendants. As a CPA, I track fiduciary responsibility. Willis was disqualified from this case for an appearance of impropriety, yet she is now fighting to intervene in the financial fallout. It's a classic management paradox. She's been kicked out of the courtroom, but she's trying to break back into the accounting department. On Monday, Judge Scott McAfee granted a certificate of immediate review. This is a technical stay of execution on the $17 million bill. From a forensic perspective, Willis is challenging a previous ruling that barred her office from even participating in the fee dispute. The logic was simple. If you are disqualified from the case, you have no legal standing to dispute the invoices. Willis, however, argues that as the authorized representative of the taxpayers, she has a duty to stop what she calls an absurd amount for an absurd reason. In the world of finance, this is like a fired CFO trying to audit the severance packages of the employees they wrongly terminated. I'm Camilo Motato reporting for Thu News. As a certified public accountant, I look at contingent liabilities. When a project fails due to management malpractice, the resulting legal fees become a self-inflicted debt. Willis claims she is protecting Fulton County taxpayers, but as an auditor, I have to ask, who created the liability in the first place? By engaging in the relationship with Nathan Wade that led to her disqualification, Willis turned a prosecutorial asset into a $17 million taxpayer liability. The core of this audit dispute centers on a specific Georgia law. This statute allows defendants to recover attorney fees if a prosecution is found to be legally invalid. As a professional, I audit the eligibility of claims. Willis's team argues that this statute doesn't apply here and that many of the fee requests are unreasonable. But here is the forensic friction. The Court of Appeals already ruled in December 2024 that Willis's presence on the case was untenable, which led to the total collapse of the indictment. In accounting terms, the contract, the prosecution, was breached by the district attorney, and now the liquidation costs are being triggered by the very law designed to protect against prosecutorial overreach. In any forensic audit, once a manager is delisted from a project, they lose their signing authority. The core issue the Georgia Court of Appeals must now decide is whether a disqualified district attorney has the legal standing to challenge the checkbook. Judge Scott McAfee previously ruled that because Willis's office was removed from the underlying prosecution, they are effectively third-party strangers to the reimbursement claims. As a CPA, I track operational separation. If the court maintains this firewall, Willis will be forced to watch from the sidelines while a special prosecutor or the county attorney decides whether to pay Trump's $17 million invoice. Willis's appeal is a desperate attempt to regain audit control over a process she was legally purged from in December 2024. Willis has labeled the $17 million request as absurd. However, in the world of professional services, we audit based on fair market value. From a forensic perspective, Trump and 18 co-defendants hired the most expensive legal consultants in the country to fight a RICO indictment that lasted over 2 years. When a prosecution is found to be legally invalid, as the defense argues happened when the case collapsed, the law often requires the state to pay the market rate for the defense. Willis's argument that the fees are unreasonable is a valuation dispute that she may not even be allowed to argue if the appeals court upholds her disqualification. Willis's primary narrative is that she is protecting Fulton County taxpayers. But as an auditor, I look at proximate cause. If a treasurer loses $17 million in a bad investment, they can't claim to be saving the company by fighting the bank to get it back. They are simply trying to mitigate the damage of their own management failure. The taxpayers of Fulton County are in this financial hole specifically because of the appearance of impropriety created by the Willis-Wade relationship. The $17 million isn't just a bill, it is a liquidated damage resulting from a breach of professional ethics. The final audit of March 19, 2026 shows an institution in fiscal crisis. The Georgia Court of Appeals is now the receiver of this mess. As a CPA, my verdict is that Fulton County is facing a budgetary default on its reputation. Whether Willis wins the right to argue or not, The audit trail of this case leads to a single conclusion. The cost of management malpractice in the public sector is always passed down to the shareholders, the taxpayers. The $17 million dispute is the final adjusting entry for a prosecution that went bankrupt the moment it lost its integrity. But I want to hear from you. Is Fani Willis genuinely protecting the taxpayers, or is she just trying to hide the cost of her mistakes? Should a disqualified prosecutor be allowed back into the case to fight the bill? Let me know in the comments. Your perspective is the only audit that matters when the check is about to be signed. I'm Camilo Motato, Certified Public Accountant for Thu News. Subscribe to stay informed on the financial truth behind the headlines. Stay safe.